Hello, everybody. Welcome back to GameDay Squad's Women's Aussie Rules Show. If you are here live with us, welcome. Today, me and Bales are going to do the usual. We're going to go game by game, give you the best analysis, show you some of the good matchups, the players maybe to avoid, and some ones to watch. Unfortunately, though, this is the last round of the year. So a little sad, a little bittersweet, but nonetheless, coming in with that same energy and super excited for round 10 of Women's Aussie Rules, and joined with good friend, co-host in Bales DT, in a different setup, in a different country, if you don't mind. Bales, mate, welcome all the way from America.
Thanks, mate. Commitment is right up there, I think. I'll pat myself on the back. It's what is it? It's 3:47 a.m. Here in Virginia, which is near Washington DC. So final round, which is good. But I've been sort of in that sort of top sort of few in starter and classic. So I really just want to get the prize cards locked up, to be honest. So I'm partly glad it's the final round. Hopefully get those top 5 spots locked in and everything. So it'd be good. But technically, being 3:47 a.m. on the Thursday, technically you're speaking well my time. So no look to it.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. We'll rip in. If you are listening to the podcast in post-production, of course, unfortunately, the first game isn't going to be as relevant because it would have already passed. So hopefully you started some good players. But from game 2 onwards, definitely just keep an eye out and have a listen to the players that Bales and I are going to start. But we're going to start off this show as we normally do.
Wait.
We're going to
wait. What'd you say about the first game?
It would have already. People who listen to the podcast tomorrow can't.
There's no Thursday night footy, mate. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, there's no Thursday night footy this week. So no, mate. All the games will be previewed.
All the games will be relevant. So start from game 1. Start from just here.
Yep.
Let's shout out our winners from last week. Prison Mike taking out starter 2,182 fantasy points. That is a pretty monster score for just having bronze cards restrictions. So absolutely smashed it. Dan's Dynamos and Nickers there as well. Great performances. Only 2 points between second and third. Very tight. Look at the classic. We have Cash Money, 2,455 fantasy points. Dan's Dynamos again getting double seconds in the starter and classic. And our co-host, Bales Nails, getting that third spot. Great performance from you, mate. What a week.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, considering that I saw the Kate Hoare news very late, and if I had a bit of a think of who I was going to replace it with, I might have gained a couple extra points. Just put Casey Sheriff in. She was the first one. Then I thought, bit of a pod. she might go all right, and she went okay, but nothing obviously spectacular there. But the highlight for last week for me was putting in. I finally put in Ashling Maloney, and I put a gold in because I've only got a gold in my club. So I was pretty happy when that massive score came in the full line. So that was definitely a reason for top 3 week.
Love it, love it. Shout out there, Fez, just under you, Prison Mike, and me there at 9th. I started Kate Hall. I did the live stream on my own last week, and then I was caught up making dinner and was watching the game thinking, wow, Kate Hall's not touching the ball a lot. And then checked my my X feed and realized that I have done a silly, especially in the second last round, trying to chase the prizes.
Mate, that's why fantasy and game day squad, it's king, mate. You can't be cooking dinner, you can't have a shower, you can't do anything until that siren's played. Then you can relax.
Yeah, squad. You need your squad to be set first, then go do the rest. But Dan's Dynamos gets first place in Challenger, 2,925. Prison Mike, Fez, Monkeys just behind him, and then Fez taking out our champion for the week in round 9. Stealth 05 and Skippers underneath. Plenty of some of the top coaches and those names that we've just mentioned. We've seen them all season. For anyone that finished in the top 10 or even in the prizes, congratulations to you. We've got one more round of prizes, so make sure you get your squads in because, all you can get is a chance to win, and you never know what you get out of some of those packs and those cash rewards. But Bales, we have our All-Stars for 2024 dropping soon. I hinted at this last week. I think we are literally a day or two away from the packs dropping from our new set of All-Stars. I will say this. I do know the All-Star list. There are plenty of new faces, which is going to be fantastic.
I wonder if Ebony Marinoff will be on there.
Maybe. Or you reckon she'll get snubbed?
Yeah, I don't know.
I reckon you can half her score and should still nearly make it, honestly, mate. She's played that good this season. It is ridiculous.
I think her bronze is averaging over 200, so she would be pretty much still top 20 midfielder. It's absolutely ridiculous. You're essentially getting You essentially get a captain in game day squad with having her in, which is crazy.
Yep, but Bales, before we get into our game-by-game analysis, we were on the phone before, and you hinted that I haven't been on Game Day Squad in a little while, and you'll see there are plenty of new things to look at. First of all, have a look at this dashboard. We're giving you game by game going here, and there's a new tab. I wonder what this will be for, but this is our first installment. Let's call it a beta of all of this. So we are just trying some things out. We've put this beta out. We're going to, collect a lot of the information, figure out how it's working, and we're trying to optimize this for the start of the cricket season. So that's just around the corner. So much exciting stuff. We are so pumped to be able to deliver some of these things. Of course, you all know about the Stats Center that got dropped earlier, but we're adding a whole nother layer to this. I'm sure you could sort of piece together what this might be, but it's coming very soon. It'll be fully operational. So, try it out this weekend. Let us know how you go. Let us know how it goes. And we can't wait to hear some of the feedback.
Yeah. Game Day Squad just getting started, my friend.
That's it. Well, Bales, let's get right into it. Game 1. This is your Crows taking on Geelong. I might let you just take it away because you missed last week. Your team's up. Let's go.
Yeah. So you got Marinoff locked every week. So not really much else to say there. Obviously, we've both got Caitlin Gould in there. I've got Maddie Newman. I know Geelong are a tough matchup there, but Maddie Newman's got as good a ceiling as any, and I still feel as though she can put a good score, especially with the likes of Daisy Darcy, unfortunately ACL, which really sucks for her, but obviously her being out as well and a couple of other players sort of not performing. I think she's sort of just got to be in there. It was between her and Jess Fitzgerald that I was sort of tossing up between. I've got no doubt you've got her in there because I know she's one of your favourites, but Maddie Newman for me. I'll put in there. I've got Chelsea Randall in there at the moment. I'm still not 100% sure if I've locked her in. I'm just sort of wondering, well, do the Crows play the whole game? Do they try and get a percentage boost? Because percentage is still going to play a bit of a factor from the latter point of view. I think in terms of the Crows, they need a bit of percentage there, and obviously they're relying on, I believe it's like a Gold Coast getting the job done over North Melbourne, which is unlikely, but Crows will probably still be hoping. Hawthorn, Richmond, because that's a closer game. So like Richmond could win, And if Crows can get some percent... No, sorry, I've literally just done that. That's for Brisbane. Crows need Brisbane to lose there, and Crows need to gain about 5%. So, yeah, so we'll see. But I'm a bit nervous with Chelsea Randall. She could make way. At the moment, she's sitting there. But talk to me about Ashley Maloney, mate. I don't have her in this week. I could have put the gold in, but I'm just worried about the difficult matchup here.
Yeah, 8th best according to the season stats here for forwards. I've been banging this drum for a while, man. I've come out and I've said that Aisling Maloney is one of the best forwards in the competition. She's definitely one of the best goal kickers in the competition, that's for sure. And she just continually proves me right. She is just, since I've said get her in your squad, start her, I felt like she's only been getting better. And of course, as you hinted at before, she's coming off her best performance for the season. 141 fantasy points and 6 goals for our superstar, Aisling Maloney. Amazing performance. At this point, I'm honestly looking at her as matchup proof. If you just watch her play, she's a bit of a unicorn, as they might say in sports, where she just has this rare ability, sort of like Anya Tai, where they're just real long, dominant forwards, but they're just so mobile and they're able to use their pace, use their speed, and just burn players, leave them in the dust, and have some really classy finishes as well. You see some of the snaps and some of the creation that she can have just off the boot. I've loved the season she's had. She's given me no reason. And honestly, in a week where I'm sitting 10th for the seasonal comp, I'm actually sort of looking at some key forwards here and just going boom or bust. Starting here with Gould and Maloney, 2 key forwards for their squads. And I'm going to be starting them this week in the hopes that there's a lot of goals this round and they're coming from the players that I'm starting in my forward line. But I feel like even as a base just for Maloney, you can see there, second highest average for Geelong for the season with nearly 90 points now. So that's increased rapidly since that mid part of the year. So super pumped to have her. A little bit nervous to be benching Randall and a little bit nervous to be benching Newman. But I need to do some different things this week. I need to play players that people won't play. And I know that sort of others will. So I'm trying to avoid those 2 players in the hopes that they don't play well and lots of other people are starting them in GameDay Squad.
Well, you got to take some, obviously you said some risks, and there's no better place to do it than the forward line, because even most forwards score anywhere from 50 to 80 pretty much anyway. So even if Maloney in tough matchup gets a 40 or a 50, you're really losing much. And as you said, you got to take that risk as well. So like if people watching, if you're ranked outside the top 10 and trying to get inside to get an all-star card, or if you're outside the top 5 and trying to get a prize card, or even if you just want to finish top 20 or whatever, or finish good for the week, you got to put a couple of odds in there as well. The only reason I didn't have Ash Maloney is because I've got a gold. If I had a bronze, I'd probably put it in this week. But the fact that I don't, I think I'll just stick with a few other players.
Fair enough as well, mate. I reckon that's going to wrap us up pretty well here.
Yep.
I was thinking earlier today, Anne Hatcher, the player that featured in both of our squads last year a ton, really hasn't featured much this year. I think I started her once, maybe you once or twice as well. For someone who is just so good at the game and was so dominant in fantasy last season, it's just super surprising to see the season she's had and that she hasn't featured very often in people's squads. And unfortunately, it's sort of for good reason. She maybe hasn't performed to that level.
She's still over 111. Like, it's nothing to...
For a midfield with how good some of these players are, it's quite underwhelming.
I think this year there's been actually a down year for mids, to be honest. I think Marinoff obviously has gone absolutely nuclear, but besides her, Garner's been up and down.
True.
Sort of gone big, a little bit smaller,
Same
big, a little bit smaller.
She's been up and down.
Conti's had some good games. Anderson's been up and down. Rowbottom had a bit of a dip as well. Riddell started on fire. She's been a bit quiet the last few weeks. So I don't think there's been, to be honest, probably one of the unsung heroes is probably she hasn't done as much as the high scorer, but Ash McCarthy has just pretty much got ton after ton after ton of being consistent. But again, she's sort of, those ceiling scores haven't quite been there. So yeah, I think in a year, but yeah, I agree. Hatchard's been a tiny bit down this year.
Yeah, but let's move on, mate. Game number 2, we have the Demons taking on the Pies. And when I saw that you submitted these players, I was like, you cheeky bugger, you're on it as well. I reckon Ruby Schleischer's in for a big, big game. I made a short about it this week saying that she's a big start. Get her in your squad. She's playing a ton of time in the midfield currently for the Pies. They really need her to step up, and it's the second best midfield matchup in the entire competition. I just feel like the upside that Schleicher has, like she really hasn't had the season I think we thought she was going to have. But this is one of those matchups to me that she could just go bonkers here. And if you don't have her in your squad, and again, I'm looking at players that have really big boom, and she's definitely going to fit that model for me, mate. She could just go nuts. She could score the ton easily and could see her go even more. So I'm really bullish on Ruby Schleicher this week, and I'm super pumped to get her in the squad for, I think, the second time this season as well.
Yeah, can't really add anything else to that, pretty much. You pretty much said everything I was thinking as well. The matchup, is great. And, I think, again, Daisy Darcy being out as well frees up another spot. And even if she was playing, North Melbourne would have been a tough matchup for Dizzy anyway. So,
very tough matchup. 100%.
Like this week, and Kate Hoare has been named for Melbourne this week. So I just think that regardless, she's just when she plays, she's a lock. And I think we've got to enjoy her for one last week in our forward lines, because I think based on what I've seen this year, she's going to be a midfielder, a straight midfielder in every format, including GameDay Squad next year. So as a forward, final time to enjoy. Maybe next year she plays more forward than the following year we get it, but for the time being, it'll probably be last time we see her as a forward for a little bit anyway.
Yeah. Enjoy it while it lasts. I couldn't agree more. And I'll reinforce my Schleicher point. I just wanted to pull up some of her advanced metrics, but CBA's here.
Doubling down.
Let me read them off. 14, 10, 8, 7, 12, 11, all in a row. So that role has just continually increased. She's just playing so well, and she's been getting pretty much over 20 disposals a game. If she can get her ball on the boot a little bit more, which she has been doing over the past couple of weeks, even better. But I think just as a base and with her tackling as well, fantastic matchup. So pumped to get her in.
She had 9 tackles last week, I think. So I think it's a season high.
9 tackles, 6, 7. So in a row there as well. She's in the best form of a year right now.
Yeah, and playing the midfield. And again, people probably forget as well, she missed a lot of football. Well, she missed the whole season last year, missed a lot of football, I think, the year before as well. So it does take players time when they have a serious when they miss a whole year of footy, they have a serious injury. Like we see it in every sport. We see it in the men's football. We see it in NBA, NFL, any sport, soccer, any sport around the world. We see players out for a year. It arguably takes them 6 to 12 months after they return to get back to even what they were before injury, or try and get to a higher level. So we're seeing that from Ruby Schleicher. So it'd be interesting to see if she's a defender next year, or if she because she played a lot of defence at the study, or she's going to be a midfielder. It'd be very interesting to see. But yeah, I think she's going to finish off with a bang, and I think next year she'll continue on that form.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Love it. Well, honestly, not many other players to talk about in this game, but I did have consideration for one player, Sabrina Frederick, for me. Looked at the ruck matchup, and I was having a look at some of the others this round, and I thought, there's some tough ones for some of the people we lean on the most, but I just couldn't find a way, even with a bad matchup for some other rucks, to start Sabrina Frederick. She just hasn't been in that form that we saw last year. We saw her float around that sort of 90 average mark last season, but she's I don't think she's cracking over 80 this year. It's been just a down year for her, unfortunately. And even with a really good matchup, I've still found a way to bench her, which I think is a little bit of a sign it's an avoid, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's Imogen Barnett's playing essentially the number one ruck role at the moment. I think she's carrying an injury. She's had a few big knocks this year, and she's played through them. I think she's playing because Collingwood have got a lot of injuries, and they probably need her to. That's just again, got no knowledge of that. I'm just thinking potentially what's happening, gut feel. Because she's their number one ruck. Imogen Barnett is a little bit shorter than the other rucks, and when Frederick was in at the start of the year, Collingwood are competitive in the midfield, whereas they're still competitive, but not in the hit-outs. They're still getting pretty much beaten whenever Frederick's not in there. So, I think I wouldn't be shocked if she came out after the season and said that she's been carrying something for the majority of the season.
Yeah, mate. Couldn't agree more. Let's get into game 3. We're taking the Swannies versus the West Coast Eagles. Very similar names here.
Beautiful sight. Beautiful sight.
She's back. All-star Gardner. Hasn't been there for a while for you, Bales.
No, she's been missing a few games, so very, very happy to have her back in. Matchup's great. She still got a lot of the ball last week against Brisbane, who are a tough matchup, and she was still able to. Didn't put up a great score. Tackles weren't there. Brisbane, obviously, as I said, not a good matchup this week though. West Coast a good matchup. I just expect her to go to work and put up a pretty big score to finish off the season. So yeah, looking forward to having her back in.
I couldn't agree more. And I just want to give context. I have a bronze Gardner in because I don't have a silver. And also, I only have a gold. And it was either I have to play a bronze or I don't have bronzes of other people that I wanted to play this round. So it was sort of just setting up my squad. Ideally, I'll talk about it a bit later, but I want to downgrade either one or two of these players to bronze to be able to upgrade my Gardner into a gold because I agree with you. I think she finishes with a bang and with the third best matchup in the comp. And with the points that I'm trying to chase, that multiplier is going to help just that little bit more, getting that 1.2 for me if I can get the gold in. So definitely not intentional putting the bronze in. I want to have the gold. I just haven't been able to work out a way at the moment where I can do it. But I'll definitely be active on the transfer market over the next day or two to try to optimize the lineup and get her boosted up.
Yeah.
Other players, though, Cynthia Hamilton, she's been up, I guess, she had that stretch where we're like, got to start her. And then, we had a discussion about this over the phone a week ago, Bales, but her role just keeps changing. Sometimes she's a predominant forward. Other times she's playing heaps in the midfield, getting a ton of CBAs and scoring really well. So what's your thoughts on Cynthia Hamilton? I know you've got the silver in. I've got her in. I'm looking at the midfield matchup in particular being the third best and hoping that she can sort of eat into that matchup a little bit and score really well.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, the matchup is exactly what I'm looking at here. West Coast matchup, obviously very nice. And with a forward, if they get even a little bit of midfield time, that's an added bonus. But even still, I think there could be a couple of goals potentially on offer if she was to sit forward as well. So, yeah, just with I guess there's not as many forwards that have got the upside that what Cynthia Hamilton does on any given week. So I think even her floor is pretty much like every other forward anyway. So for that upside play, I like it.
But just for context of her season, just being a bit of a roller coaster, I'll read out her CBA numbers just to give you an idea. But 4, 2, 7, 8, 1, 7. Like, it's just some weeks we're seeing 1, some weeks we're seeing closer to 8 to 10. Like, I just don't know what we're going to get from her. I'm really hoping it's one of those ones where we see 7 or 8. But yeah, we'll see. I think she's a high upside play and another play that I really want to make this round, like yourself.
Yeah, and then Charlotte Thomas is pretty much just lock her in every week. She's as safe as pretty much as safe as they come. So yeah, I've got her in, and she's been a tiny bit down. Last week was a bit better, but she's been a bit down a couple of weeks. But yeah, I think you put her in. I don't know that Sydney a red on up there, but I think she'll be okay.
Yeah, likewise. She's going to take the kick-ins. She's going to be the main distributor out of the defense for West Coast, and I do think she's going to have a bounce back irrespective of matchup because she's cracked the triple-digit mark nearly more times than any other defender in the comp this year, and you can't hold someone that is this good down for too long. So I'm with you there, mate. Sophia Hurley, we had a discussion about her a couple of weeks ago with Gardner out. She's a big dynasty player. She's probably an asset that you want to get in terms of GameDay Squad. And considering it's the last round of the season, maybe your mind is looking and shifting that way. Maybe you're done with this year. You're starting to pick up some cards for the future. Definitely get a Sophia Hurley in your squad or just in your club because you're going to need her in the future. I can guarantee that. She is a weapon.
Yeah, I think she's in top 5, maybe dynasty assets moving forward for players probably under the age of 22. I think she's up. Obviously, you got Robot and Roberts and Goldsworthy. Goldsworthy a tiny bit down this year, but I expect her to play more midfield moving forward. But Sophia Hurley's definitely in the top 5 for long-term prospects. So, yeah, make sure you've got even a couple. Maybe get one of each rarity if you can. Obviously, legend. Only one person can have it. But if you can get maybe a bronze, silver, gold in your club, that'd be good. Even maybe a platinum if you can get that.
Couldn't agree more, mate. Let's move it on along. Let's get to game 4. This should be a cracker. We have North taking on the Suns. And we put our squads in. And for one of the first times, we have very different looking lineups. And Garner, we both have, and I think she's just one of those players. You got to put her in. I'm going Riddell, and I know she's been in a bit of bad form by her standard, but this matchup is really tasty for me, and I'm hoping that despite some of those woes, that this is the one where she sort of gets it right. And again, I need a high upside play. It's just my strategy this week. And Sheila, so third best matchup in terms of forwards in the competition. And she has, again, a key forward, really big boom and bust. And I'm just going to keep riding this theme. I'm playing key forwards who could just go nuts. And I'm hoping this could be one of the weeks. Like Alice O'Loughlin, more of a ball-dominant player. She sort of pushes up, gets on the wing. Honestly, probably the smarter decision, Bales. But for me and what I need this round, I need some boom and bust. I'm going with a key forward in Sheila, who's been a bit streaky at times this year. But wow, when she can put it all together, she can explode in terms of production.
Yeah. To be honest, I'm really nervous about this matchup. And partly the reason is I'm actually nervous about, unfortunately, the three that you've got in your lineup. I could have put a platinum Garner in, which I've been doing the last few weeks, playing her in. Yep. I don't think I'm going to do that. Riddell, I haven't got in there at the moment, and Sheila, obviously, I considered, but I'm not sure. And the reason is because North Melbourne, have, as long as they win, they've got top spot locked up there. 2 points clear of Hawthorn in second. Sheila, she obviously a little bit of an older player there. I wouldn't be shocked if, to be honest, I wouldn't be shocked if all three of those rested on the bench in last quarter. I think Garner will play forward in last quarter if they're up by like 4 or 5 goals. True. I still think Garner's a lock anyway. I still think she scores 100 plus even in that role. Riddell there's been murmurs of her carrying a bit of a foot injury or an ankle injury for the last few weeks. That's why scores have been a little bit down. Her tackles and marks are the big thing that have been down. She hasn't really been taking many of those little sort of 100%. Plus sevens in GameDay Squad or getting those tackles. That's what's led to her sort of drop in output. And I'm not sure that she's necessarily going to be going for all these tackles in the final round as long as they get done. But I think Riddell's pretty safe still. I think she'll still go 90 plus. It's just whether she can hit that ceiling score, which I'm just a little bit cautious of this week. And I think there are a couple of others that we'll chat about that I've got in my lineup my squad this week nice. that will go well.
For sure. Well, as you mentioned, unfortunately, Darcy injury done for the year. Can't put her in your defense. She's been so good for the season as well. So a little devastating to see that, and sort of a player that I know a lot of coaches would have wanted to put in their squads if possible.
But yeah, just with Charlie Rowbottom though, I've got her in. People are going to look at the matchup and go, it's hard. It's against North Melbourne. I think it's actually going to be the opposite this week. I think that with North Melbourne probably going to be in cruise control to an extent. Gold Coast have obviously haven't had a great year. They've got a few injuries. North Melbourne will just look to get the win and move on to the finals. I think we're talking about if Garner and Riddell are resting the last quarter or parts of the game. That means Rowbottom's going to be having easier players to deal with in the midfield. No disrespect to the other players that are in there, but Garner and Riddell are top tier in the AFLW. But Rowbottom, I think, will go well. And yeah, I just think Gold Coast, they've got nothing to lose. Might as well have a crack. So I think they can go quite well. Point. But a smoky, if you want a smoky from this game, if you're looking to swing and try and hit a 6, Mia King could be a option that you consider this week. Obviously, we see her as a top 3 average there. If we're going along the narrative that Garner and Riddell are going to be rested a little bit, that means Mia King's going to get more opportunity in there. And we saw last year, I think in round 10, she actually put up a massive score. She's had some big scores this year. Obviously, been a little bit up and down, but I think in this type of game here, when a good matchup where the other players could get rested, I think Mia King could put a 120 plus score up. So if you want a pod, she could be the play you're looking for.
Yeah, mate, she could definitely shine whilst the others are taking it a bit easier, getting ready for finals at that, Big finals campaign coming up for this team. And as you said, they really have nothing to play for. So wouldn't be surprised if some of those things happen. But gosh, it's so hard to not play my all-star even if I do feel that way. It's just the most difficult thing ever.
Garner's the one I think I'm a bit less concerned of, just because even if she does rest forward, she can kick a couple of goals. She gets involved with everything anyway. And I still think they're not just going to rest them for the whole game, because they still need to have that continuity and sort of keep playing at that level going into next week. But I just think if they're up by a bit last quarter, she could rest forward and then may rest the last 5 or so minutes on the bench.
Love it, mate. Let's get into the next one. Hey, let's go game 5. We have the Blues taking on the Bombers, and we have gone the exact same combination of player here.
don't recognise you having that Maddie Gay in your defence. You must have packed her recently, mate.
I've had her for 3 weeks now. I think this is number 4. Yeah.
I guess maybe because I missed last week and probably just because it's been a few weeks since, but I just remember you didn't have one. But there you go. So good on you.
I've had her for a couple of rounds now. I did get her off the transfer market. You are right, so I didn't pack her.
There you go.
Too good as well. A player that I have been, even when she got back, I knew sometimes I spoke about it, the show, you don't rush people back when they're coming from injury because there's sort of like that adjustment, getting back into the flow of thing and the swing of things. But I was one of the coaches that started her from the second she was available because of her upside. Now, it burnt me the first week, and I think maybe a lot of coaches would have been like, you know what, maybe she's not ready to get back, would have benched her. And then I started her again. I doubled down. I said, nah, there's no way she plays bad again. I was watching her game, and she had so many like almost moments where she just almost got her hands on the ball. She gave away a couple of frees. You could just tell she was out of it a little bit, and she just wasn't ready mentally, I think. But it wasn't a physical thing at all. And then she came out, 2 goals, 13 kicks, and 105 fantasy points, and rewarded my loyalty. So, Bales, you're back on, and not only you back on, you go on the gold.
Yeah, I don't have a silver, so that's why. But I just love the matchup. The Carlton matchup really looks good on paper. For Bonnie, too good to finish off with a big game here. I unfortunately didn't get to watch that game, that draw, which would have been good last week. That was like 5 a.m. here, and I tried to stay awake for it, but I just ended up falling asleep. Couldn't stay awake for it. But I really wish I did because I had Bonnie obviously too good in my squad last week as well. First time since round 1 when everyone had her in, but first time properly all season had her in. And was quite happy with that, with the bronze to have a good score. But now we've upgraded and got the gold, which also allows me to put the bronze in the starter comp as well. So, yeah, really looking forward to seeing how she goes as well. The other player I don't mind this week is a bit of a pod in the midfield. Maddie Prasparkas up against a former side in Carlton. Obviously, we know Carlton are a decent matchup for mids as well. I think if you're looking, again, for someone that just want to go big and maybe get a good score, Maddie Prasparkas could be that player.
Yeah, and I was almost thinking about going Wales in this one as well. I currently have Lucy in. We'll get into her a little bit later. But Stephanie Wales has a really good matchup this week. And I'm almost tempted.
No, she's out for the I don't know if you saw the news. She did her ACL last week. Did her ACL,
Gosh,
so
I didn't see that.
She's done for the season. But then there's also obviously the chance if it's a 12-month recovery, she might even miss
she's going to miss part of next year as well. 100%.
Yeah, which means that with Carlton's rucks, they're going to be up against Matilda Dyke and can't even remember who, Sophie Alexander as the 2 rucks. So if you want to go pod the ruck, Jess Good, maybe Bree Moody, someone. Jess Good would be the pick if you're going, just because she's been the main ruck this year for Carlton. So just something to watch. And if you want to go a bit of a pod, I think that Essendon were already an easy matchup for rucks, but now with essentially no ruck now, well, they haven't got a ruck. I think Jess Good could have a good game. So another decent pod in your ruck that you could go for.
That's a great call, mate. Jess Good could be in for a monster game with no dominant ruck to come in there and sort of do a job. She could just get over the top, and we've seen how good she can play before. Let's get into game 6. Some of the notable ins. Dakota Davidson. She's in this game, so she's back. But you can see who I'm going. Wardlaw. What's this theme? Keeps going, Bales.
That's why I'm laughing. We have not played Jessie Wardlaw together for a week this season. You had her all for the start of the year. I didn't have a Jessie Wardlaw in my club. The week I got her, I played her for about 3 weeks in a row. You didn't have it. You didn't play Jessie Wardlaw then. Then you brought her back in, and I haven't put her in this week, which is quite funny.
Yes, it is a little funny. I'll tell you
Revenge game though.
Yeah. This could be. I'm just looking at that forward matchup. I think that Jessie Wardlaw in a game like this could get loose, and there's going to, be a little bit of emotion in it, as you mentioned, I guess in her perspective. So there could even be extra incentive on top to go that little extra harder to score. So I guess if she can hit the scoreboard and get 2+ goals, this will be a great decision in my part. But if she struggles to get on the scoreboard, the Lions get on top, and they just really don't get that opportunity to score and use the ball, then this could be one of those ones that buries me a little bit. So I'm very nervous because we know how good the Lions are and sort of their structure and how well they can play. But I really like your pick of Mullins in the forward line. She's a player that's, been a bit up and down, but she's definitely going to have an opportunity to score well this round.
Yeah, well, we haven't actually talked about it this year. This is the first time we have mentioned Charlie Mullins on here, which is good. It's good to have someone else, for a mention this season. But I just wanted to sort of read off her scores because she's been, you said a little bit up and down, but I think she's actually been quite consistent this year. I think it's just the fact that Brisbane, I think, as a team have been a bit up and down, but I think she's been one of the shining lights this year. Certainly improved. She had a very, very quiet start to the year. So she started off with a 44, 37 and a 28. So obviously that's awful. But from round 4 onwards, hasn't gone below 63 GameDay Squad points. That's her lowest score since then, which for a forward's pretty good. So she's gone 65, 68, 64, 122, 63, 93, and 88. So really good there. I think the fact that Brisbane Brisbane were who I was referring to before. Brisbane need a percentage boost here because if Richmond then beat Hawthorn, Brisbane can leapfrog Hawthorn in the second spot. So Brisbane are going to be there'll be no resting. There'll be none of that. They need to go full foot down on the pedal and put as many points on as possible. And I think that they will. I think St Kilda have struggled a bit towards the end of the year. So I think that not only Charlie Mullins, but also if you put a Jade Ellinger in your lineup, could go okay. Taylor Smith has been really good. She's going for, obviously, the leading goal kicker award as well this week. I think her and Ash Maloney are pretty close up there as well. So she'll be going for that. And then also Ali Anderson, I think that she could be in for a good game here as well. I was trying to fit a gold in, but just with a few silvers because I don't have some bronzes, just meant I had to make a sacrifice. A bit like you with Gardner, the bronze there, and I've put the bronze Ali Anderson in there. But I'm still a bit nervous about the St Kilda matchup against Brisbane. I know it says up there on the matchup matrix number 1 for mids and forwards, but I'm still convinced that that's someone's put the wrong team in. I'm still convinced because I feel like Brisbane's a much harder matchup, but who knows?
Yes. No, I think last week, who did they play?
Who did Brisbane play? Sydney.
20s. Yes, yeah.
And Gardner was quite quiet.
Yeah, she was actually, but she didn't have a very good game in general, to be honest. But the week prior, they had Geelong, and Morrison, Prisparkas, they all sort of teed off a little bit. Like there definitely are some lapses in their mids, and I do think key mids and dominant mids can score well against them, but it's just it's a play style thing for me. If you want a good pod defender this week, it's a pretty mid matchup, but Serene Watson has been so good for the Saints. I just don't have a silver or a bronze, so personally, I can't fit her in. I've only got a gold, and in my opinion, a gold probably isn't what I'm looking for in terms of a defender, unless it was maybe Sheeran or Tilly Lucas Rod. Maybe I'd consider a gold, but not for someone like Watson. If you do have a bronze or silver, she's been in some amazing form. One of the better informed defenders in the entire competition. Yep. Definitely a good start.
Yeah. The ball's going to be down there a lot, I think, if we're going along this narrative that Brisbane are trying to get as much percentage as possible. It means the ball will be down there. It means potentially a lot of kick-ins there, a lot of ball. So, yeah, Watson, not a bad play this week. But obviously the matchup isn't amazing.
Yeah, exactly right, mate. Let's move her along. Hey, let's get into Game 7. We've got the Tigers taking on the Hawks. And just so you all know, Sheeran has been cleared to play. There's a little bit of speculation whether she would due to some...
the drama. It's just, she's suspended for something that we didn't see. And they obviously went to tribunal. She was obviously let off. And then the AFL appealed her. I honestly thought she was gone both times.
Same. I didn't think she was playing.
I didn't really think it was probably enough to be a suspension, especially being a hot, humid night as well. Nanscorn's so small compared to Sheeran. Like Sheeran's like really strong as well. I thought she probably should have gone off, but I thought with the appeals and tribunal, I thought she was gone for a week. So, but good to have her in this week. Obviously, two Lucas Rod there I've got, and obviously you've got as well. I think they're just a lineup lock. Squad lock. I'm still trying to get that out of the system. But he's lineup saying that all the time. But anyway, it's 4:24 a.m., so you can excuse that. But yeah, Lucy Wales, mate. Talk to me about that because I've gone a different route, which we'll probably get to in one of the next couple of games. But Lucy Wales, tough matchup this week.
I know. By process
Richmond.
of elimination, I think you're going to have to have gone who I think I won't spoil it. We'll leave it. But Wales, she just has the boom ability. There's not many other rucks this season that have scored over 120 fantasy points. I think the one that you picked, maybe you didn't, but Scholes is another one that has. But other than that, it's sort of Strom and Lucy Wales. They have that boom ability. They have the ability to dominate. One thing Wales does really well is she can win the hit-out battle, and she will score a lot of points in hit-outs, which I absolutely love. We've seen her crack the 40 mark this season at times, and she can get in those 30s quite consistently. But again, I just need a big play. I need a grand slam. I need a home run, whatever you want to call it. And Wales is one of those rucks that can deliver that for me. I'm not sure whether I'm making the right decision considering that matchup is so tough. It's the 16th hardest in the competition out of 18 teams. So it's not very appealing. But, with not many other options, I spoke about the Frederick dilemma. I sort of tossed and ummed about it, but just didn't want to start her. I'm just going with Wales because I'm hoping she can just boom for me in a time where I really need it. I just need her to go nuts. I need her to just step up, and I'm looking to her to hopefully do so. So not starting her with the utmost confidence and because of any metric, just starting her because she's one of the better rucks in the entire comp, and that I'm hoping she can deliver for me, mate.
Yeah. Yeah, just obviously Tamara Luke's been named on the bench as well. So if Tamara Luke and Poppy Kelly are named, that makes me a bit nervous. So when you think just Poppy Kelly, you think that it's a decent matchup. Poppy Kelly's been really good this year. Certainly very improved. She's obviously was sharing with Gabby Seymour last few seasons, but with Gabby Seymour going back into defence, she's taken up that number one ruck role and been one of the most improved rucks I think this year. Obviously, there's a few players ahead of her in that. Obviously, some rucks have had massive seasons. But, she's had a very good year. So that's slightly worried. But I still think Lucy Wales will go well. And as you said, she's got the ceiling. So, definitely going to play her. I am a bit worried. A few people probably wondering why we don't have Mon Conti in our lineup. The matchup is difficult, very hard. Hawthorn, one of the
Hawthorn midfield is elite.
Yep, one of the four hardest matchups in the comp for mids at the moment is Hawthorn. And they're going to put some work into her. Hawthorn, it's a big game. Hawthorn need to win this. What a season as well, by the way, from Hawthorn. Making finals now, not only making finals, but top four. I actually said in the preseason, so I'll be able to sort of toot my own horn here. They said make it like they did that thing at the start of the year, name you like premier and runner up and best and fairest and leading goal kicker and everything. My big call this year was one of Hawthorn or Port Adelaide will make finals this year. And funny enough, both have made finals, so I'll take it. I mentioned both. One of them will, so both of them have. I think that Hawthorn very much improved, and I think that they're not going to let Mon Conti run free. Hawthorn know they need to stop Mon Conti, so they're going to put time into it. Maybe Elmy Bates goes head to head with her. Eliza West, I'm sure, will go to her as well at stoppages as well at times. So I think it'll be a. Don't get me wrong, Mon Conti probably still get a 90 to 105 score, which will be okay, or it could even go maybe in the 80s, but I just don't think she's going to be someone you're probably going to look at this week.
Yeah, exactly right, mate. No, I agree. And that midfield, they've got so many good players in it, Hawthorn. So it's not even, you can see there, like Emily Bates, she hasn't really started too much in squads, but years prior, she's been one of the top midfield options. But they have a system, they have a structure. West is in there. They just play so good together. So as you mentioned, I think they're going to game plan this one. They're going to know who the player to stop is. It's Mon Conti, their best ball user. So they're going to put some work into her for sure.
Yeah. And a lot of forwards to consider this week. Greta Bodie's back in the team, so she could be someone
Bodie is back. I was going to mention that.
Yeah, potentially look at. Sorry, mate. And then Anya McDonough as well is also someone you could consider. Matchup, it's okay. Gabby Seymour's a tough matchup, I think, especially for someone like Anya McDonough, because Gabby Seymour's really athletic, so I think she'll be able to keep up with Anya McDonough. But Greta Bodie could be a sneaky one you put in your forward line.
Love it, mate. A couple of pods there from Bales. Let's get into game 8. Now, I debuted Parker last week. I got a gold recently in a pack, and I'll tell you what a time to get her in. 142 fantasy points, if you don't mind. And with the 1.2 multiplier of the gold, one of the reasons that I did really well last week was because of her. We're thinking alike. We're both going Parker. Look, the midfield matchup doesn't scream it, but I feel like over the past couple of rounds, none of her matchups have been very good. But she's just that good. She's so ball dominant, and she's going to score. She can break 1,000 tackles in one play and still get her boot to ball. She's just that type of player. So I'm not going to look at the numbers, the metrics. I'm just going to trust in my eye and just know that she's one of the best mids in the comp. And in a week where I need an explosion, she's one of the players that could go nuts. So again, sticking to my theme, getting Parker in, because if she goes nuts and I don't have her, it's probably all over.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just saying as well, I know I mentioned the matchup matrix with Brisbane. I'm 100% convinced that someone has done something in the database and have mixed up Brisbane and GWS. Because GWS are surely not that hard. They cannot be the 17th, 18th, and 18th hardest matchup for defenders, midfielders, and forwards, respectively. Because we've seen players like Marinoff go absolutely massive against them. Like Eilish O'Dowd's one of the best matchups for Ruck. So, mate, I reckon we got to put an investigation into this, mate. But
mate, we've gone through the numbers, mate. We've crunched them. It's
yeah. Well, the Bowles numbers are saying they're wrong because Matilda Schultz is the unique player that I've got in this week as well.
Nice.
Giants are a great matchup for Rucks. Eilish O'Dowd is a good player. Obviously, good first year she's had, but she's not dominant in the hitouts. Whereas Matilda Schultz is. Matilda Schultz is very good at clearances as well. Liv Levicki's on the extended bench. I wonder if Port potentially go without Liv Levicki for this week, just because of the fact that Matilda Schultz is only going to be up against Eilish O'Dowd. Where they do that with Julia Tiku out is another thing. I'm not sure if they will or not, but be interesting to see. But I like Matilda Schultz this week as well. But before we do move on to the other games, that's pretty much all from this game because it's not a huge amount of, because Goldsworthy's been poor, you're definitely not playing her. No one really else from Port you're playing. But there's a player in the top 3 averages support there. Shanae Goldrick. Shanae Goody. It was close. Shanae and G at the start. Shanae Goody is someone, dynasty asset as well, considered long term. She's playing on a wing at the moment, but she will eventually become a player that plays in a lot more CBAs. She did do that against West Coast as well. Yeah, someone you're going to want to own in your club because she's going to be one of those players I think is going to be hard to come by when she starts really putting it together. And Port as well, low-scoring fantasy team, but that's only going to improve the more seasons they have in the AFLW. So, yeah, one to put on the watch list for dynasty assets.
Love it, mate. Alrighty, let's get into our last matchup, the last game of the season as well that we're going to do together.
Loading up.
Freo and the Western Bulldogs. Now, I've taken some swings. It was funny when you mentioned McCarthy before because I knew I was starting. I knew you weren't going to expect it either, but I need to look at different mids. Yeah. And she's one of the players that she's been consistently good. I get your point because she really doesn't have the same boom potential as some other mids, but back-to-back games with 130 fantasy points, she definitely can boom, and it's a pretty good matchup for her this week in the Bulldogs. So I'm going to go here. Freo, they're definitely going to want to win this game. They're on 28 points right now, tied with the Crows. So they're going to have a bit to play for in terms of placement, in terms of where they want to be.
What a season. What a season by Freo. Just like probably one of the
Bowers. Everyone might have written them off at that point already.
I'd written them off even before the season started because new coach. They obviously Bowers not there this year, and Stannett knee injury before the season started. She's out. But obviously hasn't played all season. And Onyutai, their best forward, went down mid-season with an ACL injury, which again just bad injuries hitting Freo. But they've done so well. Ash McCarthy's been a fantastic pickup. Gabby Newton's been a fantastic pickup. We've both got her in. I know we were a bit worried pre-season about could Gabby Newton be a fantasy option for us, moving teams, what role is she going to play. She's been fantastic playing this hybrid midfielder role that's been fantastic. So she's been great. Mim Strom, the All-Australian ruck, there's no debate about that. She's had a fantastic year as well.
I have a feeling that you can lock her in for our All-Star squad coming out this year.
Oh, yeah, exactly. All-Star, All-Australian. It could even be top 10 in the in the AFLW best and fairest as well, because I think she'll poll a lot of votes for Freo there, along with Ash McCarthy. So, yeah, she had a fantastic season.
Yeah, love it, mate. Let's talk about someone you don't have, and I do.
You've had her in every week, I reckon, the last few weeks.
Not every week, but yeah, over the past couple I have. And there was one big factor is that she had a big increase in CBAs. There's a hole that needed to be filled, and it looked like Jessica Fitzgerald just plopped straight in. But over her last 4 performances, she's had double-digit CBAs in every single game. She's averaging anywhere between 80 to 90% time on ground as well. So not only are you playing 90% of the game within this new role, but you're playing in the midfield for the majority of it. It's led to her just going nuts in terms of her kicks. Her kicking numbers went from 9, 7, 8 to start the year to her last games being 16, 14, and 10, and just kicks alone. And in one of those games, she also had double-digit handballs. So she's getting her hands on the footy a ton. She's a really, really good option for defense this week. And I've just been starting her with so much confidence, knowing that her role is going to be there in terms of the midfield time. And, you know, in a neutral matchup this week, I think with the upside that she has, irrespective of being neutral, she's been getting about 20 disposals a game over the past couple of weeks. And that's been like a lock for her. So she's locked into my squad for sure. She's been one of the big surprises for me and a really good person to lean on in my defense. But unfortunately, like some other players we've spoken about before, this might be one of the last weeks we can enjoy her being in this role, because she will probably be a midfielder next year.
Potentially, yeah. She played a fair bit of defence start of the year as well, so something to watch. But yeah, she's really sort of picked up the mantle since Ellie Blackburn's been out. That's really sort of been where she's got this midfield bump as well, along with Izzy Pritchard as well, who's been good. Obviously, their top averaging player besides Ellie Blackburn for the season. So, yeah, Jess Fitzgerald's had a fantastic season as well. We talked about in the preseason as well about someone that may have a few CBAs, but we expect her to play defence. But Elizabeth Georgia-Stathis could be someone you look at potentially this week. Decent matchup with Jess Fitzgerald now not playing defence and Lauren Arend's obviously injured. Georgia-Stathis has been the main beneficiary of that, so she could be someone. But then along with Emma O'Driscoll as well. Bulldogs, we can see they're the best matchup for defenders. Emma O'Driscoll as well could be someone that could go quite well. So another pod that people out there could consider for their squads this week.
Love it, man. But that's, I think, just about going to do us. No one really else you're going to want to consider from this sort of the players. I've loaded up. So those 4 players probably you want to maybe consider. But Bales is playing that little bit safer. He's going strong. He's going Newton. You've been really big on Newton for a while now, and she's been rewarding you with some great scores.
Thank you. I've drafted her in the our draft in the preseason, so I'll take that. But yeah, obviously we've both got Mim Strom bronze as well this week, so no gold, no silver, no extra salary this week. Yeah, just think the Edmonds matchup. It's hard to say caps Mim Strom because she fills out other stat lines, but it's not as easy a matchup as probably what we might have thought. Because I thought Edmonds was going to be out for the season when she did that ankle injury. I thought she was going to miss a few weeks, which would have meant she'd miss this game, but. Yeah, Edmonds, tougher matchup. I just wonder, and plus as well, just with a few silvers and not having bronzes, I need that salary as well. So, yeah, but Mim Strom still a lineup lock regardless.
For sure,
squad lineup.
Mate.
Squad lock, sorry, my bad.
Squad lineup. Yeah. Cal left a message for you, just tuning in. Bales, how are you awake? Respect the grind. Yes, all the way from America, ladies and gentlemen. Had to deliver you your last fantasy show, the preview for the season. Bales is in the hunt for a prize card. Look, let's go over our squads. If you're going to trust anyone out of us two, trust this man right here. Have a look at this squad. He's been destroying it all year, playing so well. And here again, he's looking to secure 2 prize cards in the last round for GameDay Squad. Fantastic stuff, mate. We spoke about all these players already. Love your work. And there you can see weekly 3, seasonal 4. For me, the Zeus Cannons, weekly 9, season 10, played a player down last week. I'm devastated. That already might have been the nail in my coffin. It would take a monster week from me. Playing those, every pod or every key forward that I played needs to go nuts, I think, in order for me to have a chance. So we'll see how it goes. For everyone that's tuned in throughout this season or at different points, thank you.
Just before we finish up as well, yes, I was just going to say with Cal saying how you rate right now. Yeah, that's why I keep saying line up lock. I keep making that bloody mistake. Not been pretty good with that, but no, it's been a good season. I'm just having a look here. So starter, I am 121 points off of third, which I'm surprised I really haven't been able to gain ground on the top three. Like I've still finished top 10 most weeks. It's just the other three, Prison, Mike, Dan's, Dynamos, and Tash have had great seasons. I'm about, 84 points clear of fifth. So as long as I go okay, I should be fine. And I'm 140 points clear of sixth. So I'm hoping that's still going to be good enough to get the prize card there. And then in Classic as well, I am 111 points behind third, which is frustrating. But then, got I've got Fez in sixth as well, and then Wedgetails behind me as well by about, 80, 90, and about nearly 100 points there. So hopefully I can hold on in both. It would be good to get a couple of prize cards. But no, I've appreciated being alongside you for this season, Tom, mate. It's been fantastic jumping on all these shows. Apologies, I missed last week. That's the first one I missed all season. Obviously, I was in the plane, so I literally couldn't if I tried. So, but yeah, no, it's been fantastic, mate. Appreciated doing all these shows with you, and I'm keen to get some more stuff done in the future, whether that be in any of the other formats on GameDay Squad.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, thank you so much for the season. For everyone that's made it this far, cheers. We appreciate all the support that you've given GameDay Squad throughout. And of course, if you just tuned in, I've just seen an influx of viewers. You can go back and watch once I've clicked end stream. Just click the link there on X, or if you're looking on YouTube, just go to GameDay Squad's YouTube channel, and you'll be able to watch all of our analysis that we just went through. We went game by game. We gave you all the best matchups. We pulled up all the data to help you set the winning squad. So with that all being said, you can see there on the screen, last show of the season, All-Stars are being dropped very, very soon on GameDay Squad. Keep your eyes peeled on our socials for when that happens. But until next